consciousness. Today I want to talk about how to do soul retrieval for yourself. Okay, soul retrieval for me is actually retrieving a lost soul piece and reintegrating that piece of yourself, whether it is an aspect of a higher self or an aspect of a past version of yourself in a past life, or actually maybe like an inner child version of either yourself or your higher self, or an inner child version of a past life incarnation. So I want to talk about that stuff, and I also want to talk about pulling yourself out of the matrix, like totally, like literally getting out of the holographic artificial program and getting into the actually, like the living program, because everything is actually alive. And when you start to wake up out the matrix, you start to realize and start to see for yourself that there is a total artificial matrix that could be like, projecting itself over your third eye, kind of like a total shade, So this is what this video is about. So let's get started, because it's cold as shit out here. All right. So doing soul retrieval also begins with becoming conscious of your emotional state and your energetic state, and where you are at in comparison to where your friends and family members are at, and how you can actually integrate with them on their level and kind of like help them through their awakening as well, if they choose to decide to wake up, or just how you can get through it the best you can and not get stuck on their stuff that they either are working on processing or refuse to work on processing, wherever they may be at that moment in time when you are waking up. So what is important to learn is how to compassionately detach yourself from hooks that are negative off your friends, family, and loved ones. Okay? That's cool. Like I said in my last video on grounding, check that video out. I tell you how to actually put up a firewall and shield yourself without allowing negativity, without allowing unconscious thought forms, without allowing negative energetic fire-offs, pop-offs, hooks, mean stares, and just like, unconscious hand gestures, like hit your field and hook onto you. Because what you don't know, if you are waking up out the matrix, is that a lot of people, well, I'm going to say 99.9% of people, are dimensionally underwater, are dimensionally in an etheric net that is totally sludge. Like, if you want to look at it, it's like sludgy smoke, and it's like made out of like a vine tentacle, and it just like wraps around every little fucking living thing it could possibly wrap around itself or wrap itself on, and you basically have to cut yourself out of it and activate your light body. That's the only way to do it. So besides that, like, that exists outside of a actual living matrix. That's what you will call an energy form that has cut itself off from source, so all it has to do is hook onto something, and then that's all it can do to stay alive. Because when you actually allow your toroidal fluid to start firing, what happens is your energy becomes your mind outside yourself, because you have a toroidal fluid firing from the center of your heart around and back in, back out, all day, every day, 24/7. So when you're that conscious, your energy is basically in the primordial soup with everybody else's energy at the same time, that you are literally 100% aware of every single thought and emotion that goes through your field. You're also picking up on what's going on in their subconscious field at the same time. Alright, so understand that you're living in a superfluid of space-time, okay? And this superfluid actually connects all living things, and in a conscious field, this fluid, it acts like a soup. So it's kind of like, you ever seen that movie X-Men, of course, with Professor X? He goes into that room, he wheels his chair into the room, then he puts his helmet on, and he's like, "This is Cerebro. I could see any human I can see any mutant. I can see what they're thinking. I can feel what they're feeling at any given moment of time. That's basically how you are in your toward your field, 24/7. Except it's only at a, I don't know, 10-foot radius, 20-foot radius. So you become very, 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 very empathic. And should you choose to want to do that, a lot of people don't want to do that, but if you do want to do that, you get very, very good at reclaiming lost soul pieces, at regaining lost ability sets, and becoming more Christ consciously aware of who you are, from the core center of your true divine nature of your very being. So you'll find that you can cut cords and forgive people very easily. In cords, you kind of have to allow your inner child to forgive everything, okay? Because the people who you're dealing with, they have very, very, depends on who your friends and family members are. If you're dealing with, I don't want to be biased or critical, towards people who, aren't actually working on waking themselves up energetically. However, there's a lot of individuals in the mass conscious collective who have very low emotional quotients and energetic quotients, emotional or energetic intelligence, and they're deep down subconsciously very confused and very wounded on that level, and they don't really know that they're running loops of programs of when they're wounded when they're 5 years old, when their girlfriend and boyfriend broke up with them when they're 15 years old, when their kids stop talking to them at a certain age. I'm not laughing at that, just stuff that it seems ridiculous, that you would carry this stuff and you would not look at it to heal it, but that's what's going on in most subconscious levels of a normal human being psyche on an everyday basis, just running a loop like an app on a phone. It just keeps going. And so when you're empathic, you pick the stuff up. The deeper you go into yourself, the more you'll be able to feel how you're connected to somebody and why, or if you're connected to somebody or somebody's attached to you, how they are feeling directly about who they are in reflection of you. And a lot of times it's total nonsense, total complete bullshit. When you have to go deep to actually go in and unhook the attachment, when you're cutting cords and then the cords are back because that person's so totally psychologically unhinged and totally just confused and really wounded that you have to actually do a soul retrieval. So here's how you do that, okay? If you're out there and you have crazy family members, alright, that you have to detach from, but you still love, here's what you do. So you call the fractal representation of that soul piece, of that soul of the person into your field, alright? Because every soul is actually a fractal, has a fractal version of itself, who is self-aware and actually carries their own business in the astral, 24/7 in their own reality. And you can actually talk to anybody's soul, okay? You can talk to anybody's soul at any period of moment of time in their life, or, you talk to anybody who's actually alive on the earth plane, literally. You could literally go visit them and chat them up, or go visit them and see, what they're up to in the filter of your own subconscious. That's how you'll see it. You'll see how your subconscious interprets their reality from the eyes of your own soul. So what you can do is actually to clear some attachments that may be caught onto you. All you have to do is just sit in meditation. Alright, sit down, close your eyes, call the fractal rep of their soul into your field, and just be the observer and be totally explorative to find out what the issue is with that particular person. Alright, you basically have an interaction. You say, okay, what's the problem? Okay, I love and respect you. However, that isn't the case of how I see our relationship. That isn't the case of how things are going to play out in the future. That has not been the case of how our interactions and dealings with each other in a personal relationship has been interpreted on my end. So please go in love and respect and detach, brother and sister, because I love you, and that's it. Clarify with stern compassion that they're detached, and then forgive them, and then move on. A lot of the stuff is done easiest with your inner child, because your inner child, inner child doesn't hold a grudge. Inner child isn't going to get mad over nothing and then stay mad for the rest of their life. Inner child just wants to be happy. They just want everybody to get along. They want to be friends with everybody. Unfortunately, the world the way it is, you can't exactly be friends with everybody. You may have people who you do love, but you have to keep them at a distance because their subconscious is too tangled up in the dark net of illusion, and they'll get the best of them. And next thing you know, you're totally drained or you're totally hooked every time you speak to somebody. I kind of say this, based off experience. And it's no offense to anybody out there. So, these types of attachments, they follow people from lifetime to lifetime. And then you find yourself kind of pulling dark energy off of you, like curse energy off of you coming from a family member. Like literally, that's what I've been doing. And then you'll watch TV shows, and then you have deja vu because the shit is so real that they're doing on the TV show. They're probably like literally taking it from somebody's past life and just writing the script, and they're just putting the actors in and playing it out for Netflix. The show Lost Kingdom. Uhtred, son of Uhtred, awesome archetype. I was watching that show, and the shit they were doing is just magic, just like past life shit, just like tribal shit, just killing, murdering, wars, all of it, and just deja vu, just firing it off. And then as I was watching that show, basically, I was like, dark energy is still here. It's like I've cut cords from like family members, cut cords from people who I've dealt with from past lives, and then like the beings who do the curse, they're still there. They're still there until you expel them. So here's what I said, literally, when I was sitting there watching the show. All right, and then I had somebody who I was working with actually do this too, and this can actually work for anybody on any level. Okay, so here's what I said, and here's what you can say too, to actually retrieve pieces and regain more of your soul's intelligence. Alright, you say, I hereby cancel all soul contracts, binds, curses, attachments from past lives, from any and all type of negative nature, from any timeline, in all dimensions, and all incarnations. And so it is, and so it shall be, and it is so. Simple stuff. More on soul retrieval. I always mention the video I did with the review on Stranger Things, because that stuff is just all soul retrieval with that show. The kid gets lost, and they got to get him back at, the first season, or whatever. And then they get him back, and it's like, oh, it's not the same kid. But it's like, he eventually comes back, but it's still like, a different kid, but it's still soul retrieval. It's that type of shit. Exactly what it is when you're waking up at the Matrix. So here's the grimy stuff, alright, that I was going to put in the video. Here it is anyway. Alright, so this is the hardcore shit that I personally went through that nobody's going to tell you online. So I don't know if they're going through it or not. And the people who have gone through it, they just don't say anything. So I'm putting out a video now. Okay, so when you pull yourself out of the Matrix, you pull yourself out of the artificial program. Basically what the artificial program is like it's just like an attachment that hooks on your skull, that'll basically hook into your brain, onto your third eye and basically filter out as the veil. It'll filter out all types of etheric astral beings, high angelic beings, extraterrestrial beings, any type of entity that isn't physically here on the third dimension. Alright, it basically hooks and it goes through your brainstem. Basically, it hooks on to like the back of the brain, like the brainstem, the reptilian brainstem, hooks back there, and it can even like holographically slide before your eyes. So you're basically filtered, and you're not able to see through the veil at all. So that's basically what the program is. So when you fall asleep, you're in that program. Okay, you're in a holographic artificial program. Okay, and when you begin to pull yourself out of it, you realize that when you begin to wake up in this program, you're basically waking up in a fake Dreamtime simulation. Alright, now for me it's been more extreme. Alright, I've been waking up like in a fake Dreamtime program where I'm in a program and I'm like, okay, I'm playing basketball, this is fun. Like I'm in like Madison Square Garden, whatever, like literally like baseline on the court playing basketball. Alright, and then I'm like, alright, I'm tired of playing basketball, I want to get out of here. Alright, that's the point. Like when you decide to leave the program, when you decide to leave the simulation, that's when you begin to see the simulation controlled. Alright, it's like you've been wearing shackles that have been invisible your entire life. Like literally, like even with like financial, like, you know, banking regulation, like literally, when you decide that, it just reminds me of what's going on in France right now. They finally are deciding to be like, okay, we can't even live anymore. Like all the regulations you guys put on us, we cannot afford to get in our cars, go work, slave for 10 hours, get back to our cars, drive all the way back, and afford the gas and pay rent and food and shelter and all we need to actually justify an existence here on, you know, the planet Earth for an actual capitalist society for these meaningless values. Alright. Because the entire world's financially enslaved, like whether you look at it or not, like needing money to justify, you know, some type of, you know, meaningful life of stature, you know, based off of, you know, materialistic gain. Back to Dreamtime. Alright. So, when you decide to get out, basically what happened is machines will start to pop up. Like, literally, like, they'll look like people, but they're actually machines, alright? And you can tell, because you look into the eyes, there's no soul, alright? So, it's basically like a gladiator program run by machines. Alright, back to 3D. Alright, same thing here. Like, NFL, alright? You take a look at any of the new NFL stadiums, and you take a look at how it's set up. At least when the one and only time I've been to an NFL show, like an actual NFL live football game, it was honestly like, I don't want to sound like a snob here, but you know, it was one of the most unconscious experiences of my life. Like literally, like people there were just in like a stupor and they weren't even drunk. Like a lot of people were drunk, but like you go there and people were just fucking animalistic, like hog-tied, like buck wild, like literally like screaming, just like fucking just taking out all their anger from all the financial slavery they've been under their entire lives, all slavery programming, all the fear, all the emotional trauma, just all the angst, just vomited out on the field all at once. Everybody do it at the same time. All these fucking players that like don't give a shit, like, you know, really if they win the game or not, just as long as they stay on the field and they're able to collect a check. Like, of course they care if they win. Alright, but anyways, like, you know, you look at Lincoln Financial Field and and you look at, like, I pointed this out to my boy last, like, when we were there. I was like, look at the Spires. Alright, look at the Spires, dude. They're like little football spires that like spire around, like, oh yeah, they're just collecting wind, yeah. Like No, they're fucking collecting bioelectricity to shock the crowd, so the crowd gets more amped and they amp more energy up at the fucking players. So your entire shit is just like, you know, just goes up and just total chaos. Like, every time a fucking touchdown is scored, it's like a goddamn parade. Like, you never seen a goddamn touchdown before. Like, it's totally insane. It's totally insane. So, like, it's literally insanity. Like, you know, most cities are based on grids, like grid systems, like electrical grid systems, like actual motherboard systems, where all that energy actually gets funneled through an actual energy wave system, like electricity, except they use sound. Sound transmutes into vibration, and vibration is energy. And that vibration gets channeled through the meridian system, through the ley line system of Earth, and it goes up to wherever they wanted to go, to whatever planet, to whatever etheric control center that they control through, which is basically Saturn, but, you know, I don't hold any bias. So, when you wake up out of the simulation program, you begin to see that all corporations are machines, alright? NFL is a machine, alright? Any corporation that's largely based off of profit over anything. You watch the movie, goddamn, what's it called? Concussion with Will Smith. NFL players getting concussed. NFL's doing anything to stop NFL players from talking about them being concussed and them like dying after they get off the field and have an actual retirement. Just so Roger Goodell, the commissioner, who's still a commissioner at this point, can collect a check. Like, they're literally trying to threaten and basically keep these players' lives ruined and until they die. And, you know, horrible deaths, just so, you know, they didn't have to research and just like pay the extra couple dollars to keep the players who make the NFL money more healthy in their later years, so they don't end up dead, you know, after they, you know, literally broke their skulls and broke their backs on their field. Now, that's how corporations are. They don't really care, because they're not human anymore. Like, CEO boardrooms, like, you know, they sold out to stockholders. You know, stockholders just care about cash because they sold out their actual integrity, you know, to the dollar. Where's the dollar? We look at the dollar. You know, guys, you guys know about the dollar, all right? So, you know, you start to wake up out of this, all right? And then you start to see through the veil. You start to see through the intention of all individuals and characters who are actually been working through the veil, okay? Because when you look at a corporation is an etheric entity, all right? So is a bank. A bank is an etheric entity, okay? So what you don't realize is, like, a bank literally has etheric ties on every single person's energy before they're born, before they even take the first breath in their incarnation here on the planet. And when you sign a note, when you sign a check, one of your checks that you go and cash at the bank, like, you're not even signing a line. Like, you look at the fine print on the line, on the bank number, on the check, and it's actually words. Like, you're looking, you think like you're signing shit, but like you're actually going and signing more of a contract. It's like an etheric contract. Like, literally, you're signing fine print. That's why lawyers are like, oh, you better read that fine print. You sign your checks and you're signing a line of words. You're not signing a line. Like, literally, go look on your check right now, your personal check, your endorsement line for your name on your personal checks, and then you'll see that it's a line of words. It's not a line. So you begin to wake up out this. Alright. Literally like the Matrix, okay? So you get out of dream time. You begin to wake up out of it. Sometimes you wake up at the actual computer. Like, literally, you will defrag. Okay, you won't defrag. You'll literally wake up at your light body, like, with like etheric hooks on the computer, coming off the computer, you know, hooking onto your light body, because you literally just got out of this fake artificial simulation that you've been like having bad dreams all your entire life in. And then you wake up in the fourth dimension, and you're like literally like, it's just like the third dimension, except etheric, except you're dreaming. So it's literally like the movie Tron, like literally how he goes into the game, he sits at the computer, goes into the game, and then he's got to fight his way out. That's literally how it is, okay? Except you wake up in 4D, you know, wherever your computer is. Maybe it's at your house. You know, maybe you might not even be at a computer. You might wake up with your phone in your hand, alright? Because every single phone is a projecting device, and it is a portal, okay? It is a portal to hook you into this artificial reality. So you basically start to serve their god, which is a goddamn machine, for money. Which, not even for money. It doesn't. A machine has no use for money. It needs energy because it's a parasite. When you get out of that, all right, soul retrieval stuff is basically like trying again. Like you literally start to wake up in dream time, except you're waking up in a third dimension. So literally, from here in like a quarter-mile radius, all right, is my energy field. So the higher I raise my consciousness, the higher I can interact with individuals, with etheric beings, with astral beings, with, you know, 4th, 5th, 6th, 7th, 8th, 9th, 10th dimensional beings, and so on. Like, you'll begin to see etheric beings, you'll begin to see negative beings, and then you'll be able to see the negative beings and then their controllers. And then, like, the higher you get up in the game, it's like, well, now you have a new foe that you have to disarm, disable, and then cross over to wherever they actually belong, and you know, prevent from holding down the consciousness here. So when I see a negative being, basically what I see is like a little dark oval, okay? Way off in the distance, I see like a little dark oval, and then I'll see a puppet guy. I'll see a puppet guy over the little dark oval, just literally like puppeting this dude. And the dude's walking up to me thinking like he's gonna scare me or whatever, and I see his controller, and I literally just swoop, and just like push him over just to the right side, and like literally like push him out of my field where I'm at, okay? Because if you're the highest evolved being in your territory, that's literally your responsibility. Like when you start to grow spiritually, you literally start to unravel the weave of darkness around the entire consciousness, okay? And a lot of people, they don't know that they're in it. That's why soul retrieval is so important. That's why I've done so many. I've only done three videos on like actual quantum consciousness reviews for shows. One of them was Kubo. That was a movie. Like at the end of it, all, like people who carry curses from incarnation to incarnation and then end up cursing their own grandsons, their own granddaughters, their own aunts, uncles, their own cousins, nephews, are doing it because they don't know, they don't remember what they are. It's like, they don't remember who they are. It's like catching rabies, you know? It's like literally going mad, losing your memories, and forgetting who you were, and just not realizing what the fuck you're doing, okay? And that's basically what happens, you know, in that movie, Kubo. Totally awesome. At the end of that, basically, like, after all of it, like, literally after all of it, like, all that shit, like, you literally, like, if you want to wake up, that's a lot of shit you have to go through. You literally have to face, like, entities that are holding down entire areas. And then you gotta transmute the shit that's on the energy, that's on the entity. And then you gotta forgive the being and then welcome him back. Like, literally, that's what happens at the end of that movie. The granddad was holding down his entire family line. And the grandson had to rise up and just take care of it. So it's like, it's literally like that on the astral level, except you wake up in the astral, you realize the astral is actually the physical. And all is one, and everything works above as below. Alright. So I guess that's it. You know, I wanted to, like, you include that too because like it's not much like else I could say about like stuff on YouTube that I haven't said already, except like I can't really watch anybody else's videos unless I would just want to see what other people know. You know, it's like, oh well, I know this person knows that now, great. Like I don't know what else to tune into, like besides me like looking at where the collective consciousness is at. Like not like I'm some type of like ever omnipresent, evolved, super like God being. Like I'm still working on myself. I don't have my third eye totally activated, but I understand like every time I tune into the video it's gonna be the same stuff, like reset again, just in a different way. Like I don't. Alright, there's a couple channels out there who are always bringing the new stuff, but the new hotness. But besides that, it isn't really like, you know, I don't know. So peace and love to you. If you guys look at session, I do sessions at quantumlight.net. I do healing. I do intuitive coaching. Soul Retrieval coming soon, and then I have numerology readings as well. So stay up on that. I also have a new podcast show out, Quantum Light Consciousness broadcast. A couple interviews coming up, you're gonna love it. Alright, take care and peace and love. Talk to you soon.